everybody, it's time for Cox and Crendor.
Cox and Crendor in the morning.
In the morning. Broadcasting live. Before our recording studio audience. Recording. Wake your ass up, it's the Crendor in the morning. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Cox and Crendor in the morning.
Welcome back.
It's a very wonderful day, whatever day it is. Thursday?
Today's
Thursday?
Thursday.
Oh, my week is just blended together. I've been doing Crendor, I've been doing so much. Just so much.
Do tell.
For those who watch my YouTube channel, shameless promotion, you'll note that back at Christmas, I bought my father a trip to Machu Picchu, because that's like one of his bucket list things. And I was like, hell, I'll go. So we're both going in May. We have to hike up an Incan trail, like 50 billion feet up into the mountains. Turns out you need to be in like super top shape to do that. So
Some little Incan boy walked that daily.
yeah, I mean, a little Incan kid could walk that in a heartbeat.
Like,
Me, that's right. That's what he does. He goes, and runs up. Nothing racist about that. Nothing. And so, yeah, so I've been at the gym like 2 hours a day trying to do that. Like, I'm like, I just gotta be able to get up a fucking mountain. So, plus work, plus all this other BS that happens in life. Just let me tell you, Crendor. And then today, something crazy happened.
What was it?
I was coming back from the gym today, and outside, like on the street of where I live, you know where I live. It's very like secluded, quiet.
It is. It's where a lot of hippies and Jewish people live.
Yes, old Jews, not the young ones. The young ones are too cool for us.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're so cool.
It's like my perfect place.
It is. It's pretty great. And so, as I'm driving down the road, I see what is no exaggeration, I think 1,000, I don't even know, like an entire army of little tween Asian girls. and they're just walking down the street. Mind you, it's like 10:30 at night, and I'm like, what is going on here? What is happening? And I sort of have to drive through them like they're cattle, because they're just like in the road. I'm like, I'm looking around, like there's just so many. It was really weird. And so I park, and then I go upstairs, and I'm like, well, it's late, but I haven't had dinner yet. I'm starving. Like you, I went on the internet, because every now and again I go on the YouTubes and see guys cooking things, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting.
Exactly.
I would like to make that. And so, because I'm not a big, like, alone drinker, I'm not an alcoholic is what I'm saying. I'm only a social drinker, so I have alcohol for when people come over, or I buy stuff for when people come over, and then it just sits there after they leave. I'm like, well, this is stupid. Yeah. So I had red wine, and I saw this guy make like a red wine steak thing, and I was like, oh, I can do that, because that's easy as balls.
That's popular amongst the cooking community today, the red wine steak thing.
Yeah, that's what it's called. And so I decide to make this, and it's very quick and easy, and I'm just like, I'm cooking. And I look out the window, and there are still roughly 1 billion little tween girls standing in the street.
So it's like you are looking down at them, and they're just like, there's billions of them.
It's like the number
you're Sauron or Saruman looking down at the orcs.
Yes, tweenish Asian orcs.
You should have shouted out at them like,
the age of man will end. Yes, that's right. That's right. And I don't know what was happening. It at this point is 11:20 at night, and I'm done cooking all this stuff. I have taken a shower. They're still outside. I'm like, this is borderline the strangest thing that I've ever experienced. I don't know if I'm finally really popular over in Asia, and this is what it's like.
True.
Or one of those like Korean pop stars is staying in the area. It was so weird. And then
where's the line leading to?
No, it wasn't a line. It was just like a mass of people.
A gathering.
Yeah, it was like they were all like someone blew a horn, like the Asian tween horn, and then they all showed up. And they were like, "We are ready," and I don't know why. And all of a sudden, I hear like talking outside, and I go back, and they started moving, like a giant herd away. And that was it. And that was the end.
But you didn't hear a horn.
I didn't hear a horn. I feel like the horn gathered them. So they were already together.
Okay.
The horn was sounded before I even got there. I feel like once they all got... It's like calling the council, and they were waiting for the last member to get there.
The
member got there, and then they were like, oh, well, now we can go.
I get it. That's...
If I didn't have stuff to do, I would have followed them to figure out where they were going. Because wherever they're going, it's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Something's happening there. I just don't know what.
We need to find out. This is an interesting conundrum.
That's what I'm saying. Where are they going? Internet, where do young Asian tweens go at midnight in LA?
On a Wednesday
Is there
night.
a DDR tournament? I figure this was 10 years ago. That would be the easy answer.
maybe a League of Legends. But that would be...
But I don't know which Asian country they're from. That's very... If they were Korean,
true.
I would have said, okay, maybe. But I don't...
I feel like we need to find this out. I'm really curious now.
That's what I'm saying. It blew my mind. I was like, what are they doing? Why are there so many little Asian kids? And it wasn't like adults. They weren't... sometimes...
Did they not have supervisor adults?
No. Well, I don't know. God. Look, world, listening to this. We all know that at a certain point, no matter what age they are, most Asian women just stop aging and become some sort of perfect woman.
That's true.
When they hit puberty, until, I don't know, like 60, they look roughly the same. Like, there was one time Crendor and I were at a mall, and we saw this daughter and her mom. They were like twins.
Exactly like
they
twins.
Were gorgeous.
One was like 40s, the other one was like 18. You couldn't
And they
tell.
looked the same. And it's it's that weird Asian thing where they look gorgeous until, I don't know, 60-something, and all of a sudden, like a switch.
I think it's the green tea, because I've been
all those
drinking green tea
antioxidants.
since about 17 years old, and I still look 17.
I don't know if that's so good at a guy. Popular belief is that older men are sexier than younger men. True fact.
Yeah, well, once I hit 60,
then
I'll
the
get
switch will turn on?
really old.
but then
Really,
your
really
skin
fast.
will fall off. Your skin will fall off like Indiana Jones. You'll become the Crypt Keeper.
They'll be like Bilbo Baggins after he lost the ring.
You'll be like, welcome, boys and ghouls.
Oh, okay, so I Googled Asian news where you live.
Uh-huh.
And
remember, this is just girls. There were no guys there. This is just Asian girls. Like, I don't understand. Okay, what was out there? What was
would
said?
they go to the Pan-Asian Highway?
What
it's
is
a
that?
cafe that serves Asian food.
All right. In LA, there are more Asian cafes that serve Asian food than anywhere else in the world, except maybe Asia. So I feel like that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Maybe they were going to the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory was closed when I was driving past it. So, maybe they went there.
Oh.
And there was, I don't know. Can I just say for the record, who goes to the Cheesecake Factory and then enjoys the Cheesecake Factory?
I went there 2 weeks ago. I went there 2 weeks ago.
We have to have listeners write in, because here's the thing. The Cheesecake Factory is the place you go where you want everyone to find something to eat, but no one to be happy.
I feel like it's
you can
not great food, but it's decent food.
Like, you can go there and open their Bible menu and open it and find something to eat, and it's a huge portion, like 12,000 calories of just like mounds of food, but you're never like, man, that was really good. You're like, I mean, I ate it.
Yeah. They give you a lot, though. I know that when I went, they also gave you a skinny menu, and everything on the item is like skinny chips, skinny sandwich.
All it is the same food, but like an eighth of what they give you.
Yeah.
It's a very Crendor place to go, because as an old man, you understand, eventually you just can't taste stuff anymore. But if you get a lot of it, well, that's a deal. That's a deal is what that is.
That's true, but that's where my old man ends, kind of, though, because I like quality food.
Then why'd you go?
Because I just wanted to go there. It was all the people were dressed up. Why do people dress up to go to the Cheesecake Factory? Like, there's some people, they're like super fancy dressed up. I was in sweatpants.
I don't even know. There was a place where I used to live in Dayton, Ohio. I think it was called the Spaghetti Warehouse or Spaghetti Factory, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we would always, way back when I was in high school, I would have to beg my parents to go, like, can we please go? Can we please go? And it was downtown in downtown Dayton. It was so fancy. Meanwhile, Dayton, one of the white trashiest places ever. But it was really fancy, though. And we went there, and oh, how I loved it. And it was so good. But looking back, I realized it's basically the Cheesecake Factory of noodles.
Yeah, I remember I went to that too, and then it closed. I just imagine some like old Italian guy in a really big warehouse surrounded by spaghetti, and he's like, I have all the spaghetti in this warehouse.
What am I going to do? He's going to contact that guy who makes the videos online. He's like, I'll give you spaghetti if you give me the goat head. Yep, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, and in the Cheesecake Factory, did you know all the decorations look like the Eye of Sauron? I just look
Why do we keep going back to, holy shit, maybe the Cheesecake Factory was calling those kids? Mm-hmm. It's like when the Ring calls, like, it's too good, it's too bad. Like when the Ring talks to Frodo and Bilbo?
Yeah. Speaking of which, this is why I kept mentioning Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
I watched Lord of the Rings, and I watched Star Wars.
Well, at the same time? Did you waste an entire
last
week of your life?
I've watched both of those. All of them.
You've made some good and bad choices.
Okay. So watch Lord of the Rings. I was like, all right, I've seen it all before. That's why I made so many Lord of the Rings things.
Did you watch the extended edition?
Yes.
Those are much better. I like the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, it fills in the parts that don't make sense.
Also,
and you're like, oh, that's why they don't make sense.
Yeah, they show Sauron getting killed, and they show the hobbits getting high, which is very important.
It is.
Very important to the story. Legalize it, hobbits.
Yes. It's a good movie. I figured I'd watch that because I also saw The Hobbit, and that was really good.
Did I say Sauron or Saruman? Look, the White Wizard gets killed. Look,
Saruman's the White Wizard, right?
Yeah, they show him getting thrown off the thing.
Yeah.
Or falling off.
He had to give him the same name as Sauron. Why couldn't he call him Badolo?
I don't understand. That's something I've always questioned. Why the two of them have such similar sounding names?
Yeah.
Like, come on, Tolkien, you're a writer. Write a better name.
Is Saruman, it's Badolo, the White Wizard.
Lucas made names like Gorgon Florgenstorgen. Hell, he had to come up with a bad guy's name, so he named him Savage Murderer. It's like, but the name's like Savage
Marier.
It's so stupid. Like, we're gonna get written what that guy's real name is, but it's just as dumb as what I said. And it's one of those things that's like, if Lucas can just bullshit names, Tolkien, you could have done that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Like Mount Doom. Come on. Mount Doom. But here's the thing.
Okay, yes.
I haven't seen Star Wars since I was 7 years old.
All of them?
I think I saw the episodes 1 through 3 when I was 8 or 9.
Holy shit.
It was a long time ago.
You are a child. Although I remember seeing them in high school, so
yeah.
That was a long time ago. But all right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I got them all on Blu-ray. I was like, you know what?
There's your first mistake. The Blu-ray ones make all the changes to the old ones. Don't do that. I do not own any Star Wars Blu-ray or DVDs. I have Star Wars. You went through my stuff. I have Star Wars on VHS. I refuse to accept changes to the classics.
I looked at all the reviews of it on Amazon. Half of them are 1 star, and half of them are 5 stars.
Yeah,
and
because
the 1 stars are just it's ruined.
Guys, it is ruined. I want to tell you something. The scene at the end of Return of the Jedi, where Vader lifts the Emperor above his head and chucks him down the shaft. Spoiler, by the way, 30-year-old spoiler. And he chucks him down the shaft. In the original, the way you could tell that he was emotionally suffering because he was behind a mask is he sees the Emperor electrocuting his son, and his son's like, "Father, help me!" And he's getting all shocked, and Vader, the music swells, and Vader does a look at his son, then a look at the Emperor, then a look at his son again, and then he lifts the Emperor up and chucks him. And you're like, oh, see, there was a man behind the mask, right? Yeah. In the new one, because Lucas is, I want to say, just stupid as shit.
I think he's just really bored.
I feel like it's one of those things where you hear artists and masters of writers And they keep saying, like, if you keep going back to it and trying to perfect it, it will never be perfect.
Yeah.
Just when it's done, let it go. And I feel like Lucas can't do that. He keeps going back to it and tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, thinking it'll be better, but you're ruining the original artwork, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, you're ruining the original Star Wars franchise with your shitty tweaks. In this case, Vader, you can go look this up online. Vader, before he lifts the Emperor up and chucks him over the thing, he looks at Luke, and then there's a flashback of the first 3 movies, the new 3 movies.
What?
And he looks and he's like, oh, and he like looks around and and it shows a flashback and it shows when he's like, no, and then Vader lifts up the Emperor, and added into this scene is him going, no, and he chucks him over the thing.
I know.
It is
But
unbearable. It's like watching something you loved as a child just get shat on.
well, the
It's
one I
really
watched
depressing.
didn't have the cutscenes of it or the flashbacks.
Oh, you lucked out. You lucked out, my friend.
But it did have the no. And
Yeah.
it was the same no as when they're
Yes.
like, Padme is dead, and he's like, no.
Right? He's like, no, and he chucks it. It is the worst. And so, anyway, go on. I could talk about Star Wars sucking.
So-
like, I just want to point out, I have not watched a Star Wars movie in years because of those 3 movies. Just want to point that out. Continue, please.
Well, that's what I wanted to watch, because I saw them so long ago. I was like, Star Wars is so big. I want to rewatch it now that I'm, like, not 8 years old, and, like, see if it is really that good. And
Okay.
so I watched the episode 1. It was
Oh, did you go in
such-
order of episode 1 through
I did.
through 6? Oh my god. Okay.
I went hardcore.
Now
So-
this is pod racing.
It's such generic writing.
If
and
you want
generic
to see a really good example of what that movie could have been, our friend Gerard, one of the guys he knows, has written 2 of the episodes are up. It's episode 1 and episode 2, and then he's making an episode 3 one now. But it's on YouTube, and it's how he would have made them. And each video is like an hour long, and he goes real in depth, and they're brilliant. Because the first one, he's like, here's the mistake they made. The hero of the old trilogy is not Anakin. It should have always been Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan should have been the main character. Obi-Wan sees his mentor die, right? Like all these different things. Like Obi-Wan fights the bad guy. The first movie is Obi-Wan's movie, but they keep him on the ship for 90% of it. He doesn't do anything, and they introduce some dumbass little kid. All of that is superfluous garbage. Like, Obi-Wan should have been the hero, and this guy does a really amazing, like, here's how I would have made the movie. And by the time you watch the video and it gets to the end, you're like, this guy should have he needs to invent time travel. Go back in time and make this movie.
Yeah, it's very generic, but I was like, okay, I can adapt to this. And then there's Jar Jar Binks. It was, oh my god, there's one scene where they're going back home, and he's just like, Misa going home! And it's the most, like, cringe-worthy thing. And then then there was the Clone Wars. That was better. It was better than the first one.
The problem with the Clone Wars is that the part that was interesting, the mystery behind who was doing the whole thing, that was sort of like brushed over, like who's making the clones and all this stuff. That was brushed over.
Yeah.
And 90% of it was about the love story between 2 characters who had no chemistry, who technically one was very old compared to the other.
Yeah.
Like, when they
That's
first
true.
met, he was a little boy, and she was like, dare I say 16 plus?
Yeah.
So there's a good at least 8 years there, which is fine for real life, ladies. But in a movie, that's creepy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a rule.
Yep. Yep.
And, yeah, they talk about that Jedi guy, and they're like, he ordered all these clones. And it's like, well, are we going to learn more about him now? And then they just
Nope.
don't talk about him.
Nope. And then they make you think, well, maybe it was Darth Sidious. And here's what would have been great, is if at the end, the Emperor, or not the Emperor, but Palpatine was a clone of Darth Sidious, who he put in, like there should have been a mystery there. Because here's the problem with the entire 3 new movies.
Yeah.
There's nothing new suspenseful there.
Yeah.
Like a really great example is prequel movie like the Hobbit, where, you know, Bilbo, yes, we all know Bilbo is going to live. Fact. It's just going to happen. But there are other characters, new characters added into the series that were never even in the books. So their fates we don't know, right? Like, there are things that you don't know what's going to happen. In the Star Wars franchise, Obi-Wan lives, Anakin lives, Yoda lives, right? Like, all these characters that are main characters, you know what happens to them. And the characters that are superfluous, like Mace Windu and stuff, well, it's like, well, they aren't in the new one, so obviously they're going to die.
Yeah.
There's nothing that was like, oh, I got to watch this. It was just so much hype around nothing, and it infuriates me. Anyway, continue. I'm going to stop talking about it.
I thought the one cool part, well, in the third movie, it's like, this is where he becomes Darth Vader. But that was literally the third movie. They should just call it When He Becomes Darth Vader.
Now, I want to know what you thought of the old 3.
Okay. Well, hold on. To wrap it up, I thought it would have been cool if they went more into the Emperor line. Because he, like, talks about the one line where he's, like, all secretive, like, and then that he killed his master, when it was actually him.
That's what I'm talking about. That
would have been so cool. And then I looked up the lore behind it, and it was, like, his master, like, trained him, and, like, he was, like, super powerful and, like, trying to cheat death, and, like, then he killed him in his sleep and stuff. Or, like,
oh my god. Like, here's the thing that makes it even worse. So all that stuff, I don't know if it works anymore, or if it's canon, because there is, since the old movies, which would be what, the early like the last one was 81, 82, 83, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, there have been 30 years of expanded universe. So George Lucas at the time said, and I'm a big nerd for this stuff, because you know me, I like lore and things. And so George Lucas said, here's the deal. You can make books, stories, comics, games, whatever, set within my universe, but they have to be within a certain time period. So they cannot be 40 years after my trilogy, or within that, they can't be within that period, right? Like, oh my god, something's crazy. I don't remember what it is exactly, but it's like, you can go in between then. You can use that time in between then. And so let's say year 0 is where we're starting, right? So that's Return of the Jedi. That's year 0.
Yeah.
You can make stories after that stretching out 40 years, but you cannot make anything after that.
I see.
And you can make stories before that stretching out 40 years, but you cannot make anything before that. But then he broke his rule and said you can make things way, way thousands of years ago. So there's stories about, like, you know, like Knights of the Old Republic and things. So that's, like, it's so far in the past that it does not affect his storyline at all. But basically what he's saying is, like, you can make these stories about my characters, but do not go so far out. Because his goal was to make 9 movies total, right? And so he had things, I guess, he thought that he wanted to tell for stories. That would be episodes 1, 2, and 3, and episodes 7, 8, and 9. And those would be the story canon. And so there's a massive expanded universe. And there's an entire storyline that takes place after Return of the Jedi and goes way into the distant, like, 30 years into the future. And so you have amazing characters, like really good, there's very good books. If you want to read the Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn, it's like about the last Imperial commander who's just a total badass, and he's like, I'm going out like a boss, right? And so it has like Luke, and Luke, you know, gets married, and has Han and Leia getting married and having kids, and it, like, their whole family, I mean, eventually it goes off the rails. Like, eventually they keep having to, like, update stuff. And so, for example, Chewbacca gets killed by a moon crushing him.
What?
I mean, that's literally what happens. A moon falls on him.
That's some bad luck.
It's true. Chewbacca is murdered by a moon. And one of Han's kids goes to the dark side and becomes, like, this really evil Sith Lord and just goes nuts. And then they introduce, like, a weird alien race, and it just goes crazy. Because eventually, you know, you can only have the Empire around for so long before it's like, have you killed those guys already? But it's this huge universe. And Disney and Lucas got together and literally just said recently, all of it is not canon anymore. So all those stories are just fan fiction that you bought, right? And so what they're saying is the new movie, the new 7, 8, and 9, those movies are the new canon story and lore. And so they have insane things in them. And here's the deal. I hated 1 through 3 so much that I don't care what they do with the new ones, because it'll be better than nothing. But it's things like the casting call. One of the things right now is they're looking for a, I guess, mixed race girl to play Obi-Wan's daughter or granddaughter.
Uh-huh.
And then Hugo Weaving is going to play an Imperial commander. Well, isn't the Empire dead? I don't know where they're going with this storyline. I hope that they use some of the Thrawn storyline stuff, but who knows? Look, Crendor, this is a sore subject. Why'd you bring it? You took me down the rabbit hole, man.
I don't know. I just wanted to watch Star Wars.
You took me down the rabbit hole. We're not going back from this. We wasted an entire podcast talking about Star Wars like two giant fucking nerds. Oh my god! All right, tell me what you thought of the three old ones, so I can shut up now.
The three old ones. I honestly, when I watched them, I was like, I can't believe these were made in like the 70s. Well, the late 70s for the first one, and then like early 80s. Like they were just really good, and it was okay. The first one. That's where Luke's all like, hey, I'm Luke. He's kind of...
Yep, that's what hey, I'm Luke.
He's like a dweeby guy.
Right.
It's like, compared to Anakin, when you meet Anakin, he's like, I'm Anakin. And then he's all like, complains about things. And he's like, oh, why's that have to happen? Luke's more like, oh, jeez. Oh, golly gee. He's like, he's more that type of guy. So he's like, he's funny. And...
Plus, he has two robots who are actually kind of humorous. Unlike,
Misa
no liking! Ooh, I'm racist!
So, I mean, it's got that going for him. Then Han Solo's just like the lovable douchebag.
I'm convinced of this. And I've said it before. The difference between the first three and the new three is Han Solo.
Yeah.
If you take Han Solo out of the old ones... It is it's just as flat as the new three. Han Solo, every movie, just like the book we wrote, every movie needs the rogue who gives no shits, but he has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. If you make a movie with like a team, you always have to have the hero who's like, you know, the goody two shoes guy, and then you have to have the girl who's sort of like, she's trying to discover herself. And then you have to have the guy who gives no shits, and he's a badass, but he has a heart of gold.
Yep. And
That's like, what you need. That's what you need. And then a giant furry man creature.
Yeah.
Yep.
For he's just like the big. You can have any like look at Game of Thrones. They got Hodor. He's not furry, but he's just a big person.
And he
Hodor.
just says Hodor. Yeah, which
but
is just like yeah.
You need one of those.
Yep. And that means Rickon is. Basically C-3PO without his legs.
Yeah. But that was good. And then the second one, The Empire Strikes Back, everyone's like, that's my least favorite one of the three. And it's like...
Who says that?
I read that on a lot of places.
Oh, those guys are retarded. Empire Strikes Back is is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I thought it was my favorite one.
It is... Like, the bad guys... It's anytime the bad guys win, you're just like, holy shit. Like, That's a good ending. Like, that one was awesome. The beginning with the walkers and stuff, that entire movie was fantastic.
Yeah, they had the beginning with the snow and the walkers and the, what is it, the Wampa or whatever?
Yes.
And he knocks them out, and then it, like, transitions into, they go to, what do you call it, Lando?
They go to Lando's place, to Cloud City.
Yeah, and you're like, this guy's shady. I don't know what's up with him. And then... He's like, hey, I'm fine. And you're like, all right, he's fine, but he still seems shady. And then it's like, bam, he made a deal with the evil people. But it's like he didn't want to do it. They made him. And it's just like, oh.
Right, there's so much character development in that one movie. And what's interesting is that...
And Yoda.
That's true. I mean, most new movies copy that format now. So you see a lot of people do... I know Harry Potter did it, and... oh god, what is that movie coming out now? The third Hunger Games movie. And basically what they do now is a lot of people realize that the format they used for Star Wars, which was first movie tells a story, second movie is a lot of plot and intrigue and stuff, and third movie is wrapping up saving characters and then an hour-long battle, right?
Yeah.
That's what the last two Harry Potter movies were. It was all story in the first one, and the last one was a full movie of like fighting over the school.
Yeah.
And that's
a good format.
It's because you get one that tells you everything. You're like, okay, good. Now let's get ready and go blow stuff up. It works. And I think, look, they did well. Lucas did well. You know why he did well in the second one? Because he didn't direct it.
Yeah. He is he like part of the 7th one?
No, they literally just said, you can give us some advice, but that's it. That's all he's doing.
Oh.
I've never been more happy in my entire life.
Yeah. And then there's Return of the Jedi. Oh yeah, Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back. I thought Yoda is like, it's funny because you watch him in like the last, like episode 3, and he's all like serious and he fights the Emperor and he's like, I have failed. And then you see him in The Empire Strikes, he's like, oh hello.
Yeah. Right? He's like a little crazy old guy. And
Yeah.
he's such a better character in the old ones. Because
I
you're
know.
like, oh shit, the crazy guy is the Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Like, he's like, the old ones seem inspired by, you know, old Japanese kung fu movies and samurai flicks and things like that, where there's a story and a lesson to be learned. Like, this little tiny old man is one of the most powerful people in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, that's some deep shit right there. In the new ones, it's like, yeah, no, midi-chlorians they're in your body and they give you powers.
Science.
It's like, boo! You killed the fantasy.
Yeah. And it's like, they do tell, it's like you got Darth Vader who becomes a good person again, and you got Luke who like resists evil.
Right?
And
They even do like the hand thing. His hand's a robot. He's already half his dad.
yeah.
Right? It's great.
And then, yeah, in the old one, or the new, like, 1 through 3, it's kind of like Anakin's douchey, watch his love story, don't really care.
He becomes
know
even
he's
more
gonna-
douchey. Then he becomes a bad guy.
And then he's
and
like, the
his friend
Emperor's a
can't
nice
stop him.
guy. And it's like, no, he's not, you dumbass.
The worst
And
part of
then-
that entire of the third movie is Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And in a line that I think was written in a conference room, it was, Anakin, the Emperor is evil. And he's like, not from my perspective on the situation. It's like, shut up. Shut up.
I remember that too. I remember because I thought the same thing. I was like, that sounds so scripted.
Not from my perspective.
I
oh
disagree.
my God.
From my perspective, his opinions and beliefs are far more realistic than yours.
I am willing to debate you on this pool of lava.
That should be a scene from the movie. It's just him and like Obi-Wan with like podiums. They're debating each other.
Here is why I think the Emperor is evil, Anakin. And he's like, I disagree. Or you see he has like note cards.
The PowerPoint.
Yep. He's like, as you
Made out
can
of
clearly see,
lightsabers.
the clones helped save the Empire. And the Jedi really didn't do anything. It's like, Anakin, but he killed the Jedi. He's just making simple reforms that will save the Empire several thousand credits a day.
Yes, I mean, he's giving us healthcare and benefits. Do you not understand? Oh, I tripped into the fire.
That's how he becomes Darth Vader.
That's
All
how
right,
he
guys. That's it. We ran really long on talking about nothing. We'll actually do a real podcast soon and give you all the things you want. But This
Yeah.
was just us talking and having fun.
This
so there
was
you
like
go.
the Nerdcast.
Nerdcast. That's what it's called. Nerdcast. All right.
Nerdcast.
Thank you for watching, listening, and all that stuff. And as always, to be continued.
Swag.